to explain very important point, that is transportation in humans. Now, the humans have very complex transportation system, and the transportation is done by circulatory system, and circulatory system is made up of three components: blood vessels, blood and heart. Circulatory system is made up of three components: blood vessels. Blood vessels are the fine tubes. Blood vessels are the fine tubes in which blood flows from one place to other place for performing different functions. Now, blood, everybody knows blood is a liquid, and third, heart is a very strong muscular structure, just like this fist. So this is about the basic of circulatory system. Coming to very important part, blood vessels. So blood vessels are of three types. First is arteries. Second is veins, and third is capillaries. Now we will see one by one. So first, arteries. So arteries are thick-walled vessels. Arteries are thick-walled. They are thick-walled tubes which carry oxygen-rich blood from heart to the distant parts of body. So this is very important part to note, that arteries, they are thick-walled. Their walls are thick, which carries oxygen-rich, thick-walled tubes, oxygen-rich blood from heart to the distant parts of body. So every part of a human requires oxygen-rich blood. In our body, the burning of food materials takes place with the help of oxygen, and we respire. We take air from our nostrils, and the air reaches to our lungs. In the lungs, there is the diffusion of the oxygen from outside to the blood, and blood has less oxygen, it has more carbon dioxide, so there is the exchange of gases. This is called as diffusion. So diffusion takes place in the lungs. Now in the lungs, there are the two type of bloods. Basically, arteries and veins are there. So arteries, they carry thick oxygenated blood, or oxygen-rich blood is called as oxygenated. Oxygen-rich blood is called as oxygenated blood. And so every part of the body has to be supplied with the oxygen-rich blood. Now coming to veins. So veins are thin-walled. Veins are thin-walled tubes which collects the deoxygenated blood from the body parts and reaches to the lungs, via heart for removing carbon dioxide. So, see, arteries have thick walls and veins have thin wall. This is the difference. Arteries carries oxygenated blood. Veins carry deoxygenated. D means no. So the vessels having less oxygen are called as deoxygenated. D means no. And blood from the body part. So in our body, the reactions takes place. Oxidation of food takes place at the cellular level. Cellular level means हर सेल में ऑक्सीडेशन होती है. क्यों ऑक्सीडेशन क्यों होती है? क्योंकि एनर्जी की आवश्यकता पड़ती है. विदाउट एनर्जी हम कोई भी काम नहीं कर सकते. So it is very complex process. It takes place at the microscopic level. Now then the blood collected, or impure blood you can say in common words, but it is better to call deoxygenated blood is collected and then it reaches to the lungs via heart for removing carbon dioxide. So blood is first sent by arteries. Who send? Heart sends to different parts of body. Blood has now oxygen in more quantity, and so the oxygen is distributed throughout the body to the cells for oxidation of food to release the energy and different functions. Then the impure blood, which is better to call deoxygenated blood, is collected by the veins. So the purpose of vein is to just collect the blood, and that's why the walls are thin. Arteries have thick walls because the blood pressure is more, because heart contracts. Due to contraction of hearts, the blood is sent to the arteries, because the blood has to reach throughout the body, and thus their walls are thick. If the walls are not thick, then they will burst out. So this is the reason. So in the lungs there is the there is oxygen, there is CO2, and the deoxygenated blood, and here there is oxygenated blood. So oxygenated blood has more oxygen, and deoxygenated blood has more CO2, and so as a result the oxygen is supplied to deoxygenated blood, and as a result deoxygenated blood releases CO2, and the deoxygenated blood becomes oxygenated. So this is very simple process, and this takes place by which process? It takes place by diffusion. Diffusion is due to the difference in concentration. Now coming to third tubes, they are called as capillaries. So capillaries are very fine. They are very fine and delicate tubes. Very fine and delicate tubes, and are connected to the arteries and veins. Connected to arteries and veins. So the purpose of capillaries is, in case of artery, the capillaries supplies blood to different parts at the cellular level. So you can imagine the fineness. They are so fine that they have to supply blood to even the group of cells or the tissues. And in case of veins, the capillaries have to receive or collect the blood, and then it goes to the heart, then heart sends to the lungs for the removal of carbon dioxide, and now blood is purified. To next very important part, blood. So everybody know blood. Blood is a red colored liquid which flows in our body. It carries the oxygen. So it is technically we call blood as liquid. We call blood as liquid connective tissue. Liquid connective tissue. Blood is made up of different components, different cells which are called as corpuscles. Now the plasma is a liquid, and plasma is a light yellow color. Plasma is light yellow colored. Light yellow colored liquid, and it has very large quantity of water. Plasma has very large quantity of water, and plasma constitutes around 8%. Plasma constitutes around 8%. It constitutes around 8% of blood, around 8% of blood. And plasma contains basically very complex materials, like particles of proteins, particles of carbohydrates, different hormones, different enzymes, etc. Plasma is basically pale yellow color liquid, means light yellow color liquid, and it contains very large amount of water, and it constitutes approximately 8% of the blood, very little amount. And so it means what we can say, that plasma has around 92% water. Plasma has around 92% of water, and plasma is very much important because it contains hormones, enzymes, vitamins, and protein molecules for different functions. Now coming to corpuscles. So corpuscles means particles. Corpuscles means particles. Corpuscles has been taken from Greek word. It is a Greek word. So corpuscles means particles. Later on it was adapted by the English. Now corpuscles, they are of three types. Red blood corpuscles, which we call RBC. This is called RBCs. Then white blood corpuscles, or we call WBCs, and third platelets. So there are three types: RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. Coming about the RBCs. So first we know where RBCs are formed. So simple question is, where is the formation of RBC? So RBCs are formed in bone marrow, inside bone. So RBCs are formed in bone marrow. Bone marrow means bone marrow is found inside the bones. Bones have holes, bones are hollow, and inside bone there is a sticky substance that is called as bone marrow, and so bone marrow produces RBC. Now coming to RBCs. So RBCs are disc-like. They are disc-like, and they have biconcave structure. Biconcave means they are, they are just having the, you know, this structure, the two, this biconcave. This is biconcave. So the two sides are, put inside, and at the ends they are, wide. In the center they are slightly thin. So this is biconcave. Another point is that they do not have nucleus. Do not have nucleus. They do not have nucleus. Red in color. Red in color. They are red in color because they have a protein called as heme or hemoglobin. They have protein called hemoglobin, and hemoglobin has capacity to combine with oxygen, and it forms oxygenated blood. So, blood is very much due to this RBCs. The red color of blood is due to RBCs. So RBCs are responsible for the capturing, for the absorbing oxygen. Some more about RBCs. So you have to keep in mind that RBCs, they do not have nucleus. So no nucleus is present. They do not have any nucleus, and their life span is 100 to 120 days approximately. In an adult, their life is 100 to 120 days, and after that they die and they are removed by the excretion and so on. RBCs have fixed shape, disc-like. Now coming to WBCs. So WBCs are also found in bone marrow. They are also found in bone marrow, that is inside the bone. But RBCs and WBCs differs a lot. RBCs don't have nucleus, they have fixed shape. But WBCs have nucleus, and they have, irregular shape. Their shape is irregular, just like amoeba. Just like amoeba. Their shapes are irregular. They have nucleus. They have nucleus. So nucleus is present. Irregular shape. And WBCs have been classified into 6 types. WBCs are of 6 types of different types in different categories. Now, functions of WBCs. So, WBCs are responsible to provide the immunity. They provide immunity, one point, and they have defensive action also. They kill the germs and the viruses or the agents which cause infection. So two functions of WBCs. First is they provide the immunity. They provide the immunity and defense mechanism. They defend humans or the animals or the mammals from the foreign attack. So this is about the WBCs and RBCs. The last portion of blood, and they are called as platelets. So platelets are also having no nucleus, just like RBCs. So they have no nucleus. They have no color like RBCs. WBCs are, almost colorless, as name indicates WBCs. So WBCs, they are so called as leukocytes. WBCs are called as leukocytes, and platelets are called as thrombocytes. Platelets are called as thrombocytes. Now coming to this, so platelets are formed by the breaking of RBCs. So they do not have nucleus, no color, or like RBCs means very light color because they are formed by the breaking or the fragmentation of RBCs. Now the functions are very important. Functions, they help in clotting of blood. They help in clotting of blood. So how they bring about the clotting? Clotting means जब भी किसी जगह पर कोई कट लग जाता है, so they are responsible for stopping the flow of blood. How it happens? So if at any place there is a cut or cut is there, so blood starts flowing to that place. Everybody knows this. So the blood has different enzymes, and one enzyme is heparin. Heparin, so it comes around the blood, and whenever this comes in presence of the blood, then it becomes solid, and then the formation of just nets. Nets are formed. जालिक जैसे बन जाता है, and so the platelets, they are disc-like, so they are just captured. जैसे फिश में जाल पकड़ते हैं फिशरमैन, तो इसी तरह से जो इसकी जाल है, जो इसका नेटवर्क है, so this is the network of the fibers produced by the blood having the heparin. So heparin comes in contact with the air and becomes solid. So this is the mechanism of clotting. So platelets are called as thrombocytes. WBCs are called as leukocytes. WBC is called leukocyte. RBC is called as erythrocytes. So this is about the complete explanation about the blood and the blood vessels.